Today we're working in my workbook called Opening a Window into the Psalms, which covers Psalms 1 through 21. When I work on the first psalm of each of these books, we'll go in detail these pages. But since it's not the first psalm, if you want to read this, go ahead and just stop the video and read it, okay? Because I won't go over it for every psalm. So this is the general study on Psalms, separating the Psalms into various groups, the musical nature of the Psalms, the poetic features of the Psalms, which we often go through when we're studying a psalm. Now, in the psalm list here, we are going to do Psalm 11. And so the Lord is in his holy temple. Now, again, the Lord is in his holy temple is not the title that the psalm came with. That was given by King James or New King James, but without titles, it looks a little bare. So I went ahead and concluded those, even though they don't really exist on the original Psalms. This is to the choir master of David. Again, we will talk about what that means in the comment section. So let's go ahead and read the scripture here, the verse. In the Lord I take refuge. How then can you say to me, flee like a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bows, they set their arrows against the strings, to shoot from the shadows at the upright in heart. When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple, the Lord is on his heavenly throne. He observes everyone on earth, his eyes examine them. The Lord examines the righteous, but the wicked, those who love violence, he hates with a passion. On the wicked he will rain, fiery coals and burning silver. A scorching wind will be their lot. For the Lord is righteous, he loves justice, the upright will see his face. Okay. With all the Psalms, I do a general commentary about the Psalms before we get into them. And as I've mentioned before, every commentator of the Psalm will bring in something different. So I've taken a selection of commentators and give you what they have. It is part of the first book of Psalms. Everybody agrees there. According to the NIV Study Bible, Psalm 11 is grouped in the Psalms 3 through 14, which are composed of 12 prayers divided into two groups of 5, with the sixth, 8 and 14, that characterizes the human condition. In the case of Psalm 11, it talks of trust in Yahweh's righteous rule. According to Jamieson, Fausset, and Brown, Psalm 11 is considered a wisdom or didactic psalm in that there's a comparison between good and evil. It's also a devotional psalm. The narrated Bible in chronological order says that Psalm 11 is a psalm of a troubled soul. Thomas Nelson's Chronology Bible places the psalm in David's final years. The Blue Letter Bible places it when David has been advised to flee to the mountains in 1 Samuel 19 in 1062 BC. We may never know for sure when it was written, but it does seem to fit the story in 1 Samuel. David wrote the psalm to the choir master, which is interchangeable with the chief musician. In David's time, this would either be Asaph, Jeduthun, or Heman. Asaph was a prominent Levite, a worship leader, and a magician in the court. He composed or co-authored several psalms. And Jeduthun, also known as Ethan, was also a prominent Levite and magician. Heman, the Ezrahite, was a Levite, seer, songwriter, and magician. He also wrote a psalm. All these were at one time considered the choir master or chief magician. Psalm 11 has 3 sections. The first section is the righteous under siege, which is verses 1 through 3. The second section is God is still on his throne, verse 4. And the third section is God refining fire, verses 5 through 6. And then the conclusion in verse 7. The first section is the righteous under siege, verses 1 through 3. So let's go ahead and reread those. In the Lord I take refuge. How then can you say to me, flee like a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bows. They set their arrows against the strings to shoot from the shadows at the upright in heart. When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? The first part of verse 11 is like an answer before the question. Let's take the problem first. What had David's friends told David to do in verse 11 and verse 1? Flee like a bird to your mountain. Now, there is some question as to whether the statement is to your mountain or from your mountain. I think the problem lies in when this was written. If David is already king, then the mountain would be where his palace is, which is in Jerusalem. If he's already there on the mountain, so he would have to flee from his mountain. However, this is before he became clean. If this is before he became king, then fleeing like a bird to your mountain or refuge might make more sense, especially in the light of the story that the Blue Letter Bible believes the psalm was written around. In verse 2, we definitely have a sense of siege, and that the wicked have their bow and arrows ready to fire. Where are they shooting from? The shadows. This generally means that they are firing from hiding places so they can't be seen when they strike. In verse 3, what is being destroyed? The foundations are being destroyed. If a building could have its foundations destroyed, it will crumble. David's friends are really seeing the situation as desperate. Now, the answer that David gives his well intentioned friends in verse 1. How can you say to me, flee like a bird to a mountain? In the Lord I take refuge. If indeed this psalm has to do with the story in verse 119, let's review it. Verses 1 Samuel 19, 18 to 24. When David had fled and made his escape, he went to Samuel of Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. Then he and Samuel went up to Naioth and stayed there. Word came to Saul, David is in Naioth at Ramah. So he sent men to capture him. But when they saw a group of prophets prophesying with Samuel standing there as their leader, the Spirit of God came on Saul's men and they also prophesied. Saul was told about it and he sent more men, and they prophesied too. Saul sent men a third time and they also prophesied. Finally, he himself left for Ramah and went to the great cistern at Seku. And he asked, where are Samuel and David? Over in Naioth at Ramah, they said. So Saul went to Naioth at Ramah. But the Spirit of God came even on him, and he walked along prophesying until he came to Naioth. He stripped off his garments, and he too prophesied in Samuel's presence. He lay naked all day and all night. What do you see in the story that matches verses 1 through 3? He took refuge, and he was actually on a mountain. Naioth was on a mountain, and he had people going against him. Those things we know. According to the story, David did flee to Naioth from his own house, but Naioth was also a refuge of God. He did not flee from there. So the second section is God is still on his throne, which is verse 4. The Lord is in his holy temple, the Lord is on his heavenly throne. In verse 4, David is saying that God is still on his throne. He's still in control. What does David say God is doing while he's on his heavenly throne? He observes everyone on the earth. God sees everyone. He's still in control. He sees everyone clearly. The third section is God's refining fire, verses 5 through 6. Let's read those. The Lord examines the righteous, but the wicked, those who love violence, he hates with a passion. On the wicked he will rain fiery coals and burning sulfur. The scorching wind will be their lot. We have fire shown both in verses 5 and 6. First, with the righteous. Many translations keep the original word meaning in the first part of verse 5. Word meaning. Instead of the word Lord examines the righteous, it is better translated the Lord refines the righteous, which allows the connection to fire in verse 6. What does God feel about the wicked, those who love violence? He hates with a passion. In verse 6, the wicked are not refined by fire, made purer and better, but destroyed by fire. Explain what happens to the wicked in verse 6. They'll be destroyed. Before we get to the conclusion of the psalm, let's notice a repetitious poetic structure in the psalm. How many of the word wicked in the psalm? Okay, let's go see. 1, 2, and 5. 1 and 5. Please. 1 and 6. So 3 in total. How many of the word righteous in the psalm? Okay. 1 and 3. 1 and 5. 1 and 7. So 3. Like most psalms, the last verse is a conclusion. In the conclusion, who wins out, the righteous or the wicked? The righteous does. And the 7 says, "For the Lord is righteous, he loves justice, and the upright will see his face." This psalm is not quoted elsewhere in the Bible, nor is it used for a special purpose by the Jews. So that's all we have on Psalm 11. I hope that would help you understand Psalm 11 more. Thank you. Bye now.